Um, Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. It's been such a long pandemic road of being home and not in contact. Um, and even though we're just in this two-dimensional contact, it's still thicker than I ever thought it could be. So it's, not what I'd like, but it's great. Um, so I'm just going to take a very brief New York minute here and just take you in for a second. So what the practice that we'll do, and what I'll speak to that a little bit more in a bit, is approaching this fourth foundation of mindfulness from a perhaps unusual perspective that is informed by Dzogchen or Mahamudra, really goes to the essence of the teaching. So I'm really curious what you make of it. If it'll resonate with you, or if it's a bridge too far, or it's a muddle, or whatever it is. I'll be curious about that. So we'll begin with doing a little practice of the first three foundations. But it occurred to me that in a manner of beginning, normally we'll take refuge. And I thought it might be, well, now I'm just looking at myself. Can I have myself go away?
You can either go to gallery view, or you can.
Oh, that's right. Gallery view did it. Okay, good. Otherwise, it was a bit odd. So maybe I'll spend like a minute or two and maybe just refresh what it is, what that means, taking refuge. We take refuge to set our intention very practically to the practice we're going to do to kind of clear the decks and orient ourselves in the right direction. That is, to take refuge from samsara, which means really to seek shelter from our own minds that are otherwise caught up in all sorts of distractions, emotional reactions, compulsive thinking, and then the usual semi-refuges, right? Seeking refuge in the worldly concerns, going after pleasure or gain, or seeking appreciation, likes, the usual sort of things we do that deliver a little bit of relief, but always leave us hanging in the end, always existing impermanently. And so we can't really count on those things. We can't count on materialism in the material world. So then at some point, we elect to take a spiritual path. And so in Buddhism, we'll say we take refuge in the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha. And so it's worth recognizing that these are outer refuges. the, the person who showed us how it could be done, the teachings that remind us how to proceed, books, podcasts, Dharma talks, and then the community that accompanies us on the path. Because it's different, isn't it? When you're with your neighbor or a friend, an old friend, or maybe a family member, versus when you're with a Dharma brother or sister. There's a difference, isn't there? In terms of a shared purpose, in terms of a purpose that goes beyond this lifetime, beyond even a marriage, that's until a death do us part. Once we commit ourselves to a path, such as the Dharma, it goes beyond just this one life. We want to be together until we make it out of samsara. That's the basic understanding. We want to progress from here in our confusion to a state of clarity. So these are the outer refuges. Now, if we look into that, then we can say there's also inner refuge. We take refuge in not the outside Buddha, but in our own Buddha nature, our own potentiality for waking up. That's linked to our intention. And then we take refuge in the Dharma in the sense of applying the teachings ourselves. How are we doing? Putting the practices into play. In the next several minutes, an hour or so, we'll be sitting formally and putting the practice into play. But also more broadly, how are we living our lives in accord with the Dharma? And then in an inner sense, the Sangha isn't just the community that's supporting us, but the question is, how are we supporting the community? What am I doing to help you? How am I showing up in practice, in various kinds of aid? Now you have this really incredible Dharma center there on Zion Street. Marcia showed me around. It's really a sanctuary. So there's the question of, how am I contributing? So this would be the inner sense. But there's also an innermost sense. When we say Buddha nature, what do we mean? The essence, our true nature, the essence is our inherently open nature. Empty, open, spacious, unfettered, unconditioned, unconstructed, non-conceptual presence. Vast, without boundary, without center, without periphery. Total vulnerability, essential vulnerability, naked openness. Taking refuge in this kind of fearless presence is the essence of Buddha. Taking refuge in the core of the Dharma is our own intelligence, our own cognizance, awareness unconstructed, spontaneously arising, uninhibited. taking refuge in that, taking refuge in the heart of the Sangha, to be with each other without qualifications, free of our desires and aversions, all sort of self-centeredness, such that we're truly communing in daring to be open and let the inherent creativity and compassion of human presence express itself. So taking refuge in the three jewels in their various dimensions. Let's do a little practice. Might be helpful to close your eyes, but you don't really need to. It's up to you. Bring your awareness to your breathing. Tuning into the sensations of the breath. With full awareness, inhabiting the breath all the way down. See if your breath can go all the way down into the belly. Exhaling all the way out. Noticing the sensations of the breathing, the rising and falling of your abdomen, or perhaps you like to track the swish of air at your nostrils. In any case, letting everything settle down. Letting yourself fully inhabiting the breath. Tuning into its relentless rhythm. Letting yourself be completely filled and completely empty. Giving yourself over to this one simple thing. I suspect this is very familiar to you. Enjoy it. Inhabiting your breath as your breath inhabits your body. I understand John likes to lead a body scan. Well, that sounds lovely. Let it happen. Go at your own pace. Or you can begin at the top of your head. And just like an egg is being broken up there, kind of falling all around your skull, down your forehead, letting your awareness stream down over your face and around the back, down around the eyes, cheeks, letting the eyes rest in their sockets, very soft, very gentle. Relaxing any tensions that you encounter around the nose, down around the mouth and the lips. You might feel the sensation of the lips touching or being slightly parted. And then track the jaw all the way up to its great hinge there by the ears. And in your awareness, permeate your skull through and through, all the way around the back. And the jaw hang loose. And your ears hang low. Moving down into the neck. And down into the shoulders. Just resting there for a moment. Noticing, what are you carrying on those shoulders today? What kind of weight are you holding there? Are you bearing? Releasing whatever tensions you encounter. Moving down into the upper arms. Elbows, forearms, wrists, hands. Perhaps your hands are touching each other. And your awareness stream into the fingers. See if you can notice those fingers. Fingertips. Palms of the hands. And back up to the shoulders. And let your awareness just come on down the back of your spine. And then the ribs coming around the front, inside of which lungs and the heart. There's that breath. There's that pulse. And your awareness just permeate your torso, coming down the spine. Letting this scan be an inner massage into the belly, the intestines, all the important work that goes on in all those organs in there. Let the lightness of your awareness permeate through the body, down into the pelvis, buttocks on the cushion or chair, genitals resting easy, loose. All the while, the breath is there. Moving down into the thighs, knees, calves, the ankles, into the feet, with the toes, and especially the soles of the feet, with all those subtle energy endings, nerve endings there, meridian endings. Mindfulness of the body. And your awareness be freely streaming throughout the entire body, tending to all the sensations inside. Physical sensations, first and foremost, but there's the other sense doors as well. Maybe you had a bite to eat and there's a taste in your taste buds. Or maybe you have some incense or there's some other scent. Maybe there's sounds. Let everything come. Let everything go in the sensory world, the sensory body. Letting everything settle into that body. Notice wherever you may be holding attention. Letting your awareness just organically go there. And it's something. The awareness knows where to go already. Mindfulness really simply means tuning in to what's already happening. Feel the vibrancy of your senses. The vitality of the physical body. The simplicity. The earthiness. Moment to moment awareness. This sensation, this sound, that sensation. Moment to moment mindfulness. Letting the body be as it is. Letting sensations flow as they will. Rising, passing away. And now also tune in to your feelings, emotions that might be upon you tonight, but also subtle feeling. What's the general felt sense that you find as you open to feeling tonight? Letting it be as it is. Tuning into the flow of energy. The flow of prana, of chi. This is all mindfulness of feeling. Not the least of which is liking or disliking what happens to be happening, being pulled toward or against what is. However you're pulled, let it be. Only be aware. Inhabiting the emotional body. Always the breath there in the background, like a handrail. Mindfulness of the body, of feelings. Now tune in to the thoughts that arise, images that may arise. Whatever arises, let it arise. only whatever arises, let it go. As if you're watching clouds moving across a deep sky. Not blocking them, but also not following them. Letting them do their cognitive dance. Neither giving those thoughts any energy, nor taking any energy away from them. Letting them go their own way. Just like the other senses of feeling, of touch, and so on. Moment to moment awareness. Something of the body, something of the energy or feeling, something of the mind. These are the foundations for staying found, not being lost in thoughts, fantasies, plans, and regrets, and all the rest. Each moment, noticing what it is, what's here. Training the mind to be here, to be now. There's effort involved in this. Being aware of your object of mindfulness. It's a factor of enlightenment, right? Effort. Like mindfulness itself. Now we'll move into the fourth foundation. Sometimes this is called phenomena, mental phenomena. Sometimes it's called consciousness. It's different ways of understanding this, different ways of working with it. The thing is that any phenomena is only going to be perceivable through the body, feeling, and the mind. So in a way, it doesn't really add anything. Sometimes it's taught to help us better accord to the Dharma, to the teachings. We can say, oh, we'll look into the 5 skandhas, for instance, or the 7 factors of enlightenment, or the 4 noble truths, or whatever it is. But all of these considerations are taking place in the mind. Where is the mind taking place? Mindfulness of sensations, of feelings, of thoughts. Where is that taking place? Which is to say, or to ask, what's the nature of the body, of feelings, of the mind? So absolutely continue with your practice, but you can open your eyes if you wish. The fourth foundation, understood in its most essential sense, is the foundation for the body, energy, and mind. The nature of our experience. So to access this, we don't want to bother with the particular objects of mindfulness anymore. Rather, having gathered ourselves through the first three foundations, which is exactly what the Buddha did under that tree. We might wonder, what did he do under that tree? Well, we know what he didn't do. He didn't practice what he had been practicing for 7 years before that. And sometimes those 7 years of renunciation, austerities, and meditation practice, he was doing meditation practice. He was doing some version of samatha that whole time. He was doing it hard, as much as he could. He was an overachiever. So people say, oh, everything begins under the Bodhi tree, but I think not. I think he prepared himself. He was ready when he left the cave, and you can go to that cave. It's just outside Bodh across the river up the hill. It's a dark little cave with a lot of hard rock. He came out of that cave because his forced practice, his very effortful practice, he was a meditative stud. You have to give that to him. It didn't work. And so he came out into the light, crossed the river, had a decent meal, sat under a broad-leaved sheltering tree, made himself a comfortable seat, kusha grass, and then he sat down. And what did he do? Well, he posed himself a question. I'm not sure we know what that exact question was, but it was something on the order of, what's true? What's really true? Well, what's the meaning of life? Or at the bottom of it all, who am I? Or what is this existence? It was something on that order. So I posed the question, and then I guess he made the vow he's not going to get up until there was, some clarity about it. But then what did he do? He didn't do anything. But because he had spent those 7 years developing his samadhi, developing his one-pointedness of mind, his self-discipline to a very high degree, he didn't just space out under that tree. He didn't trip out. He was able to really mobilize his stillness, to rivet his mind in the direction of openness. He followed the trajectory of a question. And like every question, it takes us into unknowing. You know how it is. If you try really hard to remember something, you just can't do it, right? You have to relax. Or maybe you sleep on it. And then whatever, you relax and pop, it comes in. Enlightenment, awakening is no different. The Buddha discovered that. It's the third noble truth. Cessation, letting go, letting it all go, letting it all be. So the fourth foundation is a way of dialing in to this. So effortless mindfulness. Let yourself be comfortable just as you are. Or maybe you want to stand up, take a breath. Stretch. So a practice of effortless mindfulness is different than the usual way, because the usual way we always have a little effort sticking with the object that we're mindful of so that we don't space out, so that we don't travel in our mind somewhere other than here. With effortless mindfulness, that's we still want to be here, but it's a different mode. So let yourself sit comfortably, spine straight. This can work best with eyes open, but if you'd rather close, then that's okay too. And so there's two ways of doing this, at least two ways that I teach it. And I'm going to share both of them with you, and you can decide works best for you. So the usual way of mindfulness is we look out. We're aware of sensation, a thought, a feeling. We track our experience so we don't spin away, so we don't get distracted. Or we strengthen our samadhi that way. But this way, we look out as we are, and then look back at the looker and let it be. Nothing more to do. The other way, seated and relaxed, is to let the mind go panoramic. All sense doors open. Body, feelings, thoughts, images. Everything. No struggle is necessary or desirable. Let everything be. If you're sitting with eyes open, I see most everybody is indoors. Let your awareness go all the way peripheral vision, all the way around you, in fact. The eyes will go so far, right? Your visual field. But then allow your awareness to be 360. And let everything happen without blocking anything, without pursuing, grasping anything. Let yourself rest, easy, open, lucid. Very, very simple. Nothing to do. This was the thing. When the Buddha awoke, he thought nobody would understand. So he thought, I'm just going to go into the forest and meditate. It's so spacious, this awareness, unfettered, free, inherently at peace. No one will believe it's so easy. Indeed, it can be hard to accept it, to recognize the always, already spacious, inherently awake nature of our mind. Mind unbound in concept bubbles. Let those bubbles burst. Let your awareness expand. Let your feelings flow. Let your cells vibrate as they're already doing, only attune to this unfettered, unconstructed awareness. Naked awareness. light. Let yourself bear the lightness of being. The darkness of being. All the colors in between. If you start to space, just come back to the breath. You're with the breath. Exhale. Merging your awareness in to the vastness of space. Let everything happen. Undefended. Shields down. Heart open. Mind free. Okay. So we'll open it up now. Feel free to say anything. Feel free not to say a thing. But I'm going to follow your lead here, since in a way I'm really the guest in your community.
Hey, Ken, this is Jen Scott. Howdy.
Hi.
I would just like to say how incredibly helpful the choreography part about mobilizing the stillness. I'm a dancer and a meditator. And so this and a baker. So this recipe for mobilizing the stillness, oh my gosh, that's really valuable. Thank you.
Cool. I'm glad it hit a chord. Who knew?
This is Faye. I just want to say that was really amazing. And I loved the way, like, your storytelling really brought me in, and I was really able to be present in a different way. So thank you.
Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
Hi, Ken. This is Virginia over here by the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, here. I really resonated, and I love the attunement to the awareness, the unfettered and constructed. Just it was really nice to hang out there here. So thank you.
Mhm.
And then I guess that, the sort of $1,000,000 question is, it's easy here in my little cave, but, going out and, there's triggers and whatnot that happen that can kind of take me out and away for a while. But
Mhm.
I don't know if you can hear me. The triggers in daily life can kind of set things off. But
Yeah.
I guess it's just returning back is possible.
Yeah. I can hear you. I hear you in a kind of a vibrato because there's a kind of a connection thing like that. Yeah, things carry us away. Everything hinges on our self-control, right? On our capacity to be not distracted. And so we have to be really honest with ourselves on the path. So yeah, there are these 3 yanas, there's these 3 turning of the wheel. What you just got was a lot from the 3rd turning. But we have to be really honest with ourselves, like what's our real capacity? And the question I like to ask myself is, what do I really need to do? So sometimes we need to really emphasize preparatory things. Things like, for instance, we'll do some metta before we're done because, that's just great. And then really learn to get the habit of self-recollection, coming back to ourselves. And this, of course, is where mindfulness, or samatha vipassana, is so powerful because it trains us to keep coming back. So we strengthen that muscle rather than the other one that keeps looking outside of us for something. And so having this frame that I need to collect myself in order to practice more effectively is so important. However, that said, with the 2nd turning, being informed by the Dharma of the 2nd turning, we can begin to appreciate that our confusion, samsara, our emotional reactions, our compulsive thinking, all that samsara is already nirvana. It's not different. Nirvana is not somewhere else. It's not like we have one samsara mind and another nirvana mind. There's not 2 minds. There's just one mind that can either go into distractions or it can stay put and then see what's happening. So depending on our capacity and the difficulty of our situation, we do our best. So that's where my sort of thing is. I like to have options. So having trained in sort of like basic mindfulness, then training also in something more enhanced, such as metta, and still more enhanced, like Tonglen, which was a lifesaver for me at one point. And then the non-dual stuff. Because sometimes, you're in a good space. You're in a really light space. The flowers are blooming. The frost didn't kill off certain buds. And it's really happy to be out there in the garden. And so your lightness, and so there's no point in like trying to, you don't have to bother to sit down, go into the zafu and sit down. You can just hang out there on the fly in the moment. And then just let your system recalibrate to a lightened way of being. Then the path is shorter. It's a quicker path. Otherwise, we have to keep going back to the cushion, back on retreat. Now, that's not a negative, by the way. I do a lot of retreat. I'll be doing 2 months in the fall, for instance, because it's good for me. I know that. But depending on the day and the hour, it's good to have a variety of things to pull from. I could say a lot more on that, but I'll leave it there.
Ken, hi, it's Mary Helen.
Oh, hi, Mary Helen.
Hi, we have
Good to
some
see you in
emails.
person.
Yeah. Same here. Thank you so much. I just want to tell you some of the things that I really liked that you said. I like that you said the Buddha was an overachiever. Because I remember reading like every one of his teachers, oh, he surpassed his teacher and he had to go on to the next teacher and he surpassed that teacher. And I imagine he was like trying really hard, like he was in graduate school or something. So I kind of related to that. And then you, in the guiding that you did where you sort of talked about being present to everything that's out there. I don't know what you did, but maybe you turned your hands over, and it just worked for me so well that you took me into this 360-degree space, and it was completely effortless. It was so at ease and innately so such a lovely spot. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, if the effortless style of practice worked for you, just try it sometime. When you normally, you do your normal sit, but rather than, maybe you want to begin like with the breath. I almost always begin with the breath. It's just so delicious. And then to do, a body scan, inhabiting the body. I just love that, particularly in the morning. But then just do the effortless practice, and just so you can know, see, and then just see how it works from the get-go. Play with it.
Ken, this is Marcia. The two practices that you invited us to do tonight. The first one you said just to look back at yourself, correct?
Yep.
And so the one with the periphery, I kind of could feel more into that, but when I was just looking back at myself, it was kind of a little shocking. And I just went into, noticing things right away, like sensations, and, it had a subject to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if when you're saying to look back at yourself, if there's an empty quality to that, or could you just talk about that a little bit more?
Well, first of all, good catch, because you noticed what worked and what didn't work, right? Because at the end of the day, we have the best teacher is always ourself, our inner knowing, our inner guidance. Doesn't matter how powerful our guru is. We have to trust ourselves and learn to do that. So that's a sort of general thing. More specifically, yeah, I did both of those. I think it probably would have been a little more streamlined if I had only done one, because I think they might have been a bit too on top of each other. But yes, the looking out and the looking in, and then there's usually a third, which is then you drop. And so that's what I didn't include, because I didn't want to confuse things more than I already might have. But it's exactly that empty quality. That's looking at the looker, which of course is impossible. Like an eyeball can't see itself, right? The smelly nose can't smell itself. And so, yeah, that's where that can throw us back into, sometimes people might say, our true self. In the Dharma, we would say it more accurately as no self, rather than a unitary self. There's all this other stuff happening, feeling and grasping, thinking, and so forth, and stuff bubbling up from the past, which of course is exactly what happened to the Buddha under that tree. We don't have time now to get into that, but I've really focused a lot on that. His repressions came up. We call it Mara. Well, Mara is kind of maybe an odd word for us, but more psychologically, we can say all the stuff we've repressed comes back, and it's like arrows being pierced by arrows. But letting that happen without reacting, then of course the arrows become flowers, become blossoms. They dissolve themselves. Nothing we need to do. And that's the epiphany. It's exactly that emptiness. It's the refuge of refuges, the ultimate refuge. Openness as such, awareness as such. It's the ultimate refuge. It's the ultimate protection, because in a moment of total presence, there's nothing we need to be protected from. There's no one to protect. There's no place we're standing that's separate from what's happening. That's the ultimate protection. Or as the Buddha said in a sutra or two, it's the ultimate medicine. Emptiness, openness is the ultimate medicine. Mindfulness is the all-purpose medicine. You're depressed, mindfulness can help that. Anxious, well, mindfulness will help calm that down. Whatever the problem is, mind spinning out of control, blah, blah, mindfulness will help with any psychological problem. And of course, those are really the main problems. All the problems having to do with me. So that's the all-purpose medicine, but the ultimate medicine is seeing into the truth of what's happening, which is not what we think is happening. non-conceptual presence. Heart, other way of saying that is heartfelt. These are synonyms. The willingness to be pierced by those arrows. The Buddha was so courageous. He let it happen. And then he discovered that if you don't resist and you don't grab on, the arrows, we could say, dissolve themselves. They turn into flowers, blossoms, because of the energy they hold. The stuff we've pushed down, we've repressed, we're afraid of, that holds energy back from us. When we release those things, the energy becomes freed, which is the other reason it's important to have a foundation, a samadhi, an ability to be in control of our own mind and not be dominated by our thoughts and feelings, so that we can bear it. Otherwise, we can't bear it. There's no guilt involved. It's practical. It's the way it is. Okay. What do you say to a little metta? You can leave your eyes however you like it. I close mine because it seems to work better with this practice. And again, just take a minute and tune into the breathing, aligning with your breathing. In fact, why don't you just intentionally breathe in and out from the heart? Yeah, that's better. Breathing deeply and fully into the heart. And exhaling, releasing from the heart. Exhaling, expanding. May I be filled with loving kindness. Free from pettiness. Free from worry and fear. Aggression, aversion. And filled with gentleness toward myself and others. May I be filled with kindness, filled to overflowing with loving kindness. May I be more and more a true gentleman, gentlewoman, gentle being. See if you can get a little taste of that as you exhale, the sweetness of your heart, the sweetness of pure kindness, as if you're holding a little baby, looking into those eyes that go to infinity. May I be filled with loving kindness, true gentleness. May I be filled with equanimity, the capacity to bear my vulnerability. May I be filled with steady, rock solid equanimity. Perhaps you can feel this coming from your belly, deep in your belly, grounded, steady, unflappable equanimity. You'll be free from prejudice, being dominated by my desires and aversions, and filled with equanimity, even mindedness, balanced mind, steady and sure, filled with loving kindness, equanimity, and real compassion. Rather than being numb or hard-hearted, may I be soft-hearted, able to feel my own pain and that of others. And let that awaken real compassion, heartfelt compassion. May I be more touchable and in touch with the suffering of others and my own. Undefended, totally human, fully human, empathically resonant, and compassionately robust. May I be filled with loving kindness, radiating equanimity, resonant, genuine compassion, not mere pity, but heart to heart, courageous compassion. May I have the courage to bear all of that. And might I be filled with sympathetic joy, selfless joy and delight in being, simply being. Not so self-possessed, self-preoccupied rather. Not so self-worrying, but buoyant, resilient, bouncy and joyful, happy. May my sense of humor be robust, vibrant and alive, happy and free, I rest in quiet delight, simple well-being. May I rest in the simplicity of natural well-being. Free from jealousy and envy, and sympathetically joyful with other people's victories, healthiness, or whatever they've got that I don't. May I join them in that and share the fun. Filled with loving kindness, sweet kindness, steady, unflappable equanimity, genuine compassion, delightful joyfulness. May these sink deeper and deeper into my mind stream. And may I share them more and more deeply with whoever I encounter, friend or foe or total strangers. May I be happy. May you be happy. May all beings be happy and tune into the cause of happiness. May I be free. May you be free. May all beings tune in to the natural freedom of being. May all beings everywhere be free. May all beings everywhere be free. May all beings everywhere be free.